Hello and welcome to Baby Steps in Create Studio 3 Part 17, Exploring the Lower Thirds. I'm Tony at Tony's Tutorials and we're on version 3.4.2 of Create Studio 3. First of all, let's start off with a new project, and we're going to left click on the slider and drag it down to where the lower thirds are. I'm just going to left click on there, and the first one is already downloaded, so I'm going to left click on it and drag it onto the screen. And as you can see, it comes up, the object comes up here, and let's just play that just to show you what it looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to take it apart and try and replicate everything that it does, right? In order to do that, you can see that it's a group here, so all we need to do is click on the object and left click it twice to get into that group. And as you can see, the group is made of two objects. One is a group, which is the text. All the text is another group, and the line is a separate piece to that group, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the group that's all the text, so then will disappear. So we can just work on the line for starters and see how we work that line, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a rectangle like this, and I'll just keep it blue so you can tell the difference between mine and the one that's there, right? You can always change it with the colour palette here, and I'm just going to drag it across like that and make it a little bit thinner so it looks similar size to that one, right? And I'm just going to drag it along to there and make sure it's the same size as that one. So you can see I'm going to do exactly the same as what this should do, right? Now let's grab hold of the end keyframe of that first animation. I'm going to double click it with the left mouse button. What happens? It comes up with the properties showing which one's been selected, and if you click on easing, it'll tell you which easing's been used. Smooth, in, out, and properties is scale, right? So what we want to do is the same as that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my playhead back, but not all the way back. I know their keyframe is off screen, but we don't want us off screen yet until we've fixed it properly. So what we need to do is go on to add animation. Now we've got our object selected, right? So we go add animation, scale, and click on easing, and click smooth. Yeah, that's on. So, and that's in and out, so that's fine, right? So we got that. Now what we want to do before we do the minimalistic area, we need to go to the maximum area, which is there, right? But there's something I forgot to do. Well, let's just check on here a moment, and what we need to do is check where it's going to. That means it's going to that corner there, so that means the anchor point is that corner up here. As you can see, the anchor point's there, right? On ours, where's our anchor point? Let's just check. That's the wrong place. We want it in the corner, so we need to put it up the top right, top left corner, and it's there, right? Need to do that first before we do anything with these animation parts. So now we go on to the second keyframe, right? And we're gonna just click on it and maybe move it a little bit like that, just to make sure that it is connected to that. But you've got to make sure that keyframe is blue when you're doing that. Then you get to the first keyframe here, right? And then you minimize it from this corner upwards to that corner, right? Like that. Okay, so that's going to do the action, right? Okay, now you need to drag it across using the line that's between those two key points by left clicking and dragging across, so that way it'll match that one, right? Now to get the other position on, we go down here just to make sure where we are. Let's put it back a bit, And now we need to do add animation again, smooth for the easing, and scale for the linear, right? So we've got the same position roughly. Let's got to go back a bit that way. Oh, just to make sure. Yeah, it's a bit more maybe. Like that. Now I'm going to click on the first one. Mess about with that a little bit. Oh, it hasn't selected it, so do that and then do that. Whoops, put it back. Right, so that's there, so we know it's selected it. Right, then we're going to click on the second one and minimize it back to the same spot again. Right, like that. Okay, so that'll be all right. Now we'll go to the beginning of the actual timeline and play it, and hopefully it should show exactly the same as the red line. Okay, so we know that works, right? So now we can just put on the text back on, show the text, right? But obviously that line's going to go through the text, but we know that text is working the same as the other. So if you wanted to move that line, then you could move the line and put it down to where the other one is. It's a bit of a nuisance because it makes it stretchy if you don't get that line right like that. So you can put that there and change the colour of the text and take the other one off, and it'll do it the same as there, like that. Right? Okay. Just take that line off because we don't need that line really. Now I've showed you how it works, right? So let's go on to the text and see what's happening with the text, right? So I need to double click on the text because that's another group. So here we've got cannot stop me, which is actually not showing. Okay, 1 minute. Let's move this across so we can see that it's working, right? Cannot stop me, which is an object on its own without being a group, but the name Rebecca River is part of a group. So what we'll do is we're going to hide Rebecca River, and we just mess about with this cannot stop me, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that like that, right? And I'm going to drag the one up a bit. So now what I'm going to do with the one that I've dragged up, I'm going to delete animation on both sides. Yeah, so I'm just going to pull that up a bit more actually. Oh, so we've got the same words, the same kind of properties and everything. I mean, you could change the words now, but I've got all the properties on it, so we know what the properties are right. To do the actual animation, this is the important part which I want to show you, right? Right, you actually click on the beginning, the in animation, and you check for what they are. Letter, forward, 70, -3, and advanced settings as well if you need to. Now none of the advanced settings have been changed, right? So you're all right with that. So you just remember use fade is on as well, right? So we go on to our own, and we just add motion in as right. We go to letter, forward, 70 and -3, I believe it was, and use fade was on, right? So therefore we do that, and then we need to drag that across by clicking on the line, that line going across, and moving across with the left mouse button by clicking and dragging across, right? So them should both work the same at the beginning. Just check. Yeah. Okay. Now the last one, the left out motion, is letter reverse 68 minus 2, and that is there any advanced stuff? No, there's nothing extra. If there's any extra like zoom, Y, zoom, X, or rotation, skew, whatever, you got to check for them as well, right? But it's not saying anything like that. It's just simple stuff. Letter reverse 68 and minus 2, right? So we just remember them. Put that on here. Do motion out is left, and then we want letter reverse 68 and then minus 2 on there, and use fade, right? So that should be okay. Let's pull that across now to there, and that should work the same. So let's just try that again. So now you know how the cannot stop me animation worked, right? And let's just delete that one, and now let's just right click and show the name, so we can go into the name group. We'll do that then now, so by double clicking on the left mouse button on the actual group, and we'll see what happens with this, right? So okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate that as such, right? And I'm going to remove the animation front and back, right? So we've got, right, as you can see, right? So all we need to do now is click on that, do the same actions, like letter forward 70 minus 3 minus 5, right? You see that, and use fade. So it's got some advanced movements on this, right? So what we need to do is go on this one. We want right position, and then we want letter forward. Let's just check. I can't remember what I've done now. Mine's just going that way because I haven't sorted it out. Let's just click on there. 17 minus 3 minus 5, right? Click on there. Click on it again. That's 70. Change that one to minus 3. And we need to go to the advanced and then change that to minus 5. Right, that should work now, and use fade. Right, so let's try that. Right, so let's just click on this bottom one and hide it for a second. Let's see what happens there. That looks the same, doesn't it, as what the other one did. So if I hide that one and show that one, go back, yeah, same position, same effect, right? So what I need to do is go on this one, show. What I need to do is click on that, letter reverse 50 minus 61 and minus 20, right? So we've got minus 61 and minus 20 there, and letter reverse, right? So what we need to do that is go to top one, out, left, letter reverse, and then minus 61, and I think it was minus 20 or something, I think, and use fade, right? So let's just check that. I think that was the same. So let's just click on the bottom one and hide it by right clicking it, and we'll just try that, see if that looks right. Yeah, that looks right. So we've done the same thing as the bottom one does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide that one and show the one that was done by the original. Yeah, okay, so we've done exactly the same. So this is how you learn how to do the lower thirds. It's very simple. Just copy what they're doing, check the right animation and the left animations on it. You know, the in animation, you just click on it and it'll come up with the preset settings. Just check the settings and use those settings for whatever you want. And same goes with the other side. Now the out settings, just click on it and it'll come up with the preset settings. Make a note of them so you can use them for whatever settings you want. This is the best way to learn how to do the lower thirds. Okay, you know, make sure you check for things like anchor points and things like that as well in the settings. As you go down here, like the anchor point there. Usually most of them will be in the middle, but if you've got something that suddenly disappears up in the corner or something like that, it might be the anchor points changed to up there or something. You can also change the anchor points. It doesn't have to necessarily be in the middle. You can move it like that. Don't have to be in the middle. It can be in the middle if you want, but you can move it. You can make it be on a particular item like that, and you know, you could move it around that item then. So if you wanted to spin, you'd spin around that. Okay, so that's just an idea what you can do. So I hope this has been useful to you, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll hopefully see you next time. Thank you.